Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern, and holy crap, do we have a lot to talk about today. The 2021 live stream has been conducted, it has concluded, I believe, and Riot have left us with a ton of stuff here to break down, so let's go ahead and jump right into things, starting first and foremost with the new Ruined King cinematic. So, we have confirmation that the voice inside Senna that was talked about in a universe article that was put out, I believe, a couple days ago only. We know that voice now is Viegos Wife, the Ruined King's wife, and that's why Senna has sort of had the ability to connect with the Black Mist and not be totally subsumed by it. It's part of the influence of having the Ruined King's wife with her. Now, Viego has reclaimed his wife. What that means is unclear right now, but when he simply had contact with her, he was able to create ruinations throughout Runeterra and possess a bunch of other champions, which is kind of a big deal. So him having his wife back is not necessarily a good thing. We don't really know what it means quite yet for Senna herself, given that she no longer has contact, but presumably Senna will keep her abilities, all the stuff she has right now, because Riot are not going to want to meaninglessly nerf Senna in the lore. So we'll kind of see how it goes, but definitely go check out the trailer if you guys can. It's really, really good, and there are a lot of champions, actually, that they managed to find a way to include in it, including Samira. I really did not expect to see Samira in a cinematic this soon after her release, but I think it's really cool that they were able to put her in, so that was really awesome. And speaking of the Ruined King has been revealed on Twitter, so let's go ahead and talk about the Ruined King real quick and what he can do. So first and foremost, he is that romantic jungler that Riot were talking about earlier. His passive is actually pretty nutty, where he has the ability to possess enemy champions he's recently killed, gaining access to their abilities, plus Viego's own ultimate and healing himself when he does possess somebody. So this does give him the ability to essentially take over someone for a limited amount of time afterwards. He only gets their basic abilities, but depending on the champion, that could still be quite strong. You can, I mean, they use Senna as the example, but being able to steal her away and then get a free Piercing Darkness off in order to heal your allies, damage enemies, especially from a range, which they're not expecting you to have, that could be really good. Or being able to steal away something like, let's say, a Maokai, if you're able to kill off the front line and then gain access to Twisted Advance and use that to immediately re-engage on the back line. Lots of really, really cool stuff you can do with that, but that's going to work in conjunction with his ultimate. Viegos he hops out of anybody he's possessing and teleports forward. He hits the enemy champion in range with the lowest percent health and deals damage based on their missing health, knocking other champions away at the same time. The use case of this is obvious. Get the first frag, possess that body, do a bunch of damage with it, then use his R to hop out of that body and into, onto the next lowest health character, killing them, possessing their body now, and just keep things going, which means that Viego will have access to a ton of cooldowns in the middle of a fight, which will really, really give him a lot of utility and a lot of ability to snowball fights in the same way that other teamfight assassins can do. His other abilities are all fairly standard. His Q allows him to passively do percent health damage on auto attacks, and if he auto attacks an enemy hit by a spell, he performs a double attack instead. It's a skill shot stab on its own, not talking about the passive. So he does have the ability to just kind of do a bunch of damage with this, especially it means that he has a lot of value with attack speed. So turns out the Ruined King wants to build the Blade of the Ruined King. Who could have guessed? In fact, the Q is actually literally called Blade of the Ruined King. So, Riot weren't very subtle with that one, but it does make sense. His W, he charges up and then dashes forward, firing mist that stuns the first enemy it hits. The stun duration and mist range increase with the charge, but the dash range and damage do not. So, essentially, if you're charging this up, you're really trying to land this probably out of Fog of War to set yourself up to get a bunch of auto attacks in or to have follow-up to your gank. This is not going to increase the dash range, though, so you do have the advantage of either quick tapping this or just trying to use it to get in range for the rest of your damage. Viego's E is also super interesting. He spreads a wall of mist around a target terrain feature. He's camouflage and gains attack speed and movement speed while in the mist. So this is sort of going to be Viego's way of threading in and out of fights. Note that they did say it's camouflage, so if you're close enough to Viego, you will still be able to see him and you will still be able to fight him. So this is not going to help Viego as sort of like an Akali Shroud would, where you can pop it in the middle of a fight and just become completely disappeared. But it does mean he has some interesting ways of ganking where he can spread mist on a terrain feature and then sort of say, am I in there? Am I not in there? Who knows? But you have to back off and respect the fact that I could be there and looking to gank you, could be looking in there, charging up my W right now for a long stun. So an interesting ability. I don't know how useful it's going to be at the end of the day, but I do quite like kind of where it's at. So, and that's really, really interesting. I love this champion's kit. I love what they've done with the Ruin King. It looks like he also has an alternate form where he does sort of armor up and wear some sort of armor. So that's kind of cool. I do quite appreciate that because I do feel like Viego was a bit of a not that interesting of a visual design beforehand, so I'm happy that Riot essentially found a way to sort of incorporate the Sauron death metal goth suit that we were all expecting a champion like the Ruin King to have, while also having their own take on the champion. So that's going to be really good. I think this champ's going to be absolutely really, really good, by the way. I think he's really, really strong, so just on paper. So assuming his numbers are good, I feel like this champion is going to be everywhere. I think he's going to be very powerful. I think he's definitely a champion to be looking forward to in the coming weeks. But outside of the Ruin King and anything related to him, we have a bunch of other stuff that Riot have also announced or revealed today. First and foremost, of course, is the champion VGU Poll. It is finally up and is confirming that our choices are Shyvana, Nocturne, Skarner, Udyr, and Quinn. Now, I did know that Shyvana and Nocturne were both going to be on this. The other three are surprises, but I can't say that I disagree with Riot's justification for any of them. I do feel like in the form of Udyr, at the very least, he doesn't really need a gameplay update as much as he needs a just straight visual update. I think that's the biggest thing for Udyr going forward, but I do agree with their arguments about Skarner and Quinn. Indeed, I really do feel like they could use some work, especially in terms of gameplay and in terms of sort of thematic matching. But I really do hope at the end of the day that it is going to be Shyvana, because I do feel like she has the biggest realm of improvement possible. I think she needs help from both a visual concern standpoint and a gameplay concern standpoint. Her kit is just super binary. She doesn't have great visuals. She doesn't really live up to the sort of draconic warrior aspect that she really, really should. So my vote is going to be going for Shyvana, but we'll kind of see where things end up. I am concerned a little bit because I don't want Riot to sort of, Riot has a habit of making, let's not mince words, really, really sexy ladies. And Shyvana should not be one of those, in my opinion. I feel like she should be a big, scary dragon warrior. She should not look super enticing. She should just be the kind of champion that you see her and then she murders you and she looks devastating. She looks like a warrior. If anything, she should look more draconic in her human form than she does right now. So here's hoping. I don't know how Riot will handle it, but I'm trying to have at least a little bit of hope for them going forward, given the reaction everyone had to the Shyvana in Legends of Runeterra, which that design was really, really good. So we'll see how it goes at the end of the day. On top of a champion pool, Riot have also added a skin thematic pool, which will be able to vote for the next skin line. I didn't see this coming, but it could be really good, provided it's not just popular champions that are going to be getting skins in this new skin line. That would be the one concern for me, would be that Riot only gave it to popular champions or champions they knew were going to do well anyways. I would love to see them do something interesting with these new skin lines if they do choose to go for them. The three skin lines are Monster Tamers, which is sort of a Pokemon-based thematic where champions are paired up with powerful monsters that ideally are the ones giving them their abilities. Debonair 2.0, which is a rework of the Debonair skin line, as that one didn't do too well, so Riot are trying to find a way to make it more than just champions and fancy outfits and give it more of a universe that it could theoretically exist in. And Crime City Nightmare, which is a re-envisioning of the Crime City thematic, which is mostly just champions and mafia outfits, into something that's a little bit more scary, into something that's more of an underworld sort of crime city that's not just, okay, it's champions that are in mafia outfits. So we do have two reworks of existing thematics that did poorly, so I think it would be interesting to see either one of those two take flight. Monster Tamers, I can't say I'm really that big of a fan of. It does feel a little Star Guardian-ish due to everyone having a pet. I know all the Star Guardians have their own little familiar in the canon, and some of them even do have it in-game, so I can't say I'm a big fan of that one in particular. But Debonair 2.0 and Crime City Nightmare, I would be interested to see where Riot do choose to go with them, but who can say no to Debonair, guys? Come on, champions and fancy outfits, I love it. So we'll see how that goes, though, at the end of the day. Obviously, all these voting are going on the client right now. Of course, the client is having some issues because everyone is logging on to vote, but definitely don't forget about it if you are going to be logging on later today. And finally, a couple of odds and ends here. First and foremost, Season 11 is going to be beginning today, full for the pros and Joes alike, so we will be able to start watching the professional, LCS, LEC, all your favorite regions. Those will be going live before too long, and Season 11 for all of us is starting right now, so you can start climbing and doing your placement matches right away. TFT Festival of Beasts is going to be coming up pretty soon. There are new units, new mechanics, and everything built on the base of the original TFT Fates, so that's going to be interesting for all you TFT players out there. And of course, they are using some of the new skins that have, I don't believe they've hit PvE quite yet, but all of the Shanghai skins, those are all in the new TFT Fates, so that was sort of our first look at them. And finally, Legends of Runeterra. The new set is confirmed as Shurima, surprising literally no one. So there should be a new champion card for every region, plus 7 new champions for that region alone. That's how high we're up right now. So that is a tremendous amount of champions, and Riot are going to be trying to do champion expansions as sort of their change going forward. So they're going to be releasing a champion card and basically skins that work with that champion, or theme champions that work around that particular champion. So ideally this will allow them to slow trickle champion cards over time while allowing us to still have the focus on Shurima, as opposed to kind of how they did Targon, where a lot of it was they released a bunch of champions all at the same time, only one of which was Targon, which did sort of take away the focus on the Targon cards and the focus on that sort of thing into just like, okay, whatever, it's just going to be about the new champion, for example. So we'll see how it goes. This is probably how Riot intend to spread out the 8 new champions instead of sticking them all in Shurima expansions, but I do think I like that particular approach. And that's going to be it for me today, guys. There was a ton of stuff revealed today. I'm sure there's even stuff I've missed, so if there is, let me know down in the comment section below if there's anything else you want me to talk about, and we'll see if I can't find out whatever's going on about it and let you guys know. If you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and leave a like, and if you really enjoyed today's video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all later.